Hey guys, you most welcome to this new video tutorial with our SP Pro. Hey guys, I'm sorry for taking long with that recording for you guys video and having you guys all on board. But with effective of this month and that month coming next and the rest of the month we shall be having always we shall be having videos, and I will make sure I post for you guys what's going to help you. Now on this video today, I'm going to be working with you guys the complete Crud, and that's Mysql with PHP, and I'm going to just start from the complete beginner sections for you guys. So I hope you guys are going to love it because I'm going to make everything sorted up for you. So without wasting time, you guys just need to make sure you have a Sublime text editor or any editor. You may be using a view code, you may be using a or you may be having one another Notepad++. I don't know what you guys have, but just make sure you are familiar with your editor. If you're not familiar, then I advise you to get one like me so that you can follow along with me. Okay, so I'm just going to go to I need to create a directory on my PC, so where I'm going to have my stuffs in. So remember, we're using Sublime text editor, and two, I'm using PHP. I'm going to be using XAMPP in this project. So I'm just going to make sure I go to my computer, then I go to my disk drive. The C drive, I look onto XAMPP where it is. Then I look for a htdocs. So it's inside htdocs that I go need to create a folder so that my project can be placed in. So to make story short, I always like to create a folder there. I'm just going to create a folder called I'm just going to create something called YouTube projects. Okay, so that this will give me a chance to know that inside there I have YouTube projects, and this YouTube project I'm going to be doing something called PHP Crud. Okay, so you guys are going to put where even you guys need to can download this software, so you don't need to worry about, you don't need to get a lot of challenges whenever you are using up this application. So remember, this is it. I just need to go to my Chrome, any browser of your choice. I just have Chrome with me installed, and then I have YouTube, YouTube Crud. So that's the YouTube projects. That's what I have, and I think you can see it's working with me just next to that directory. So that's how you get to that, which I've just done so for now. Then that implies indirectly inside PHP Crud. It's where we expect our stuff to be in. Now remember, Crud is all about so let's just try to bring this folder in, then I can explain to you furthermore what's Crud and how to deal up with, So I'm just going to come back here on my project. I go inside there, htdocs, YouTube, PHP Crud. That's it. So I have that ready inside my project folder, and I have that there. So make sure we move along. Or you guys, you can do the way you feel like it's good for you. But if you are following with me, or you're moving along with me, or using a view code, I expect you guys to be with me on the same, being on the same state. Now, on the other note, we just need to understand what's Crud. Now, I just need us to create one folder, file here, a new file, and I'm just going to create it as maybe Crud. And inside here, I may look onto having it in this way, whereby we expect to have something, maybe just an index. Oh no, let me just start with something called crud.php. So this will going to give us a chance to understand how Crud works and how to make a Crud project. It's not responding as such, but if you click there, I already have my Crud coming in. We all know how to write a PHP project or how to write a PHP stuff. So that's the syntax for our PHP. So I hope you guys it's as good as you can see. So I can always call Ctrl S to save, or I can always come in here and say save all, or I can always come and say save if for that particular project. Now on the other note, what I guess I have to let you know what's Crud. Crud is always one on us. Yeah, that's the comment. You guys don't forget about that. So comment is all about what on us. C is for create, so we're going to be learning how to create up given stuff using Crud. We have R for read, which simply means select everything or read whatever is inside the database, or something of that sort. Ways maybe you can use select command, you know, or it sometimes guys call it read, which still means that reading the content or reading the information from the database. We have U, which is actually for update, so U is always update on the information. And then we have D, whereby D is for, you know, delete, you know. Now we also have other things that still you can do inside Crud. Don't forget, you guys, you also have something called A, whereby A is mainly for, you know, alert, you get, and things of that sort. So we have alert and all those stuff. Now for now, we say that we're just going to be learning how to do this kind of info, you know, parameters, you know, how things are done. So those are some of the things I'm going to take you guys through. But now, let us just try to walk this through, you know, to get ourselves into a state whereby we understand how this moves. So we obviously definitely going to start with something called create. You get? So remember, we need to first know the parameters to connect to the Mysql database. Do you have any? Maybe we don't have any. Now, remember initially, guys, you've been maybe using Mysql _connect, which has been a parameter to connect to Mysql database. But this time around, I don't know what should I use with you guys. I don't know, use with you guys PDO, object oriented. I think object oriented makes sense because it's going to make you guys understand some few steps. By the time I do with you guys PDO, you'll be knowing more of the things, how things should be done, and to the latest kind of technique on how things should be done. So I'm going to be using with you guys PDO for now. Then on the next video, I'll be using I'm going to use you guys OOP, object oriented programming. I'm not going to use the other procedure. I'm going to use object oriented if it's okay with you guys. I'm just going to break it down in simple terms. Okay, now this is it. We need to know how to do the connection. So I can just come back down here. So let me just not confuse you there. I'm just going to create my connection here. So I'm just going to call it maybe db. Always like to use that. Maybe db.php. I have my stuff there. So inside here, I'm just going to come back and try to break this down. This is where I expect my connection to be, you know. DB or one known as DB connection. This is just connection to MySQL database. Now even this one you could just create. Now you could just create a command and then creates for you the database on the installation, whereby the user has to give the database name by himself, or otherwise always prompt the user to first do the settings. And if the database already exists, then to just round you back to the create command, where you're going to create the table and all those stuff. That's how most of the guys with the real understandable projects they tend to do. They expect the user to create by themselves whatever parameters they would like them to use, and then in the last stage, not prompt the user to first put admin and all those steps. Now let's walk through and see how this is going to work for us here. So to start up the database connection, I'm just going to first pass my variables, parameters. So under my variables, for connection, I need to know that I have the host, which is obviously the server name. You guys will now use to call server name. I need to know the database name itself that I'm going to be using this project. I also need to know the username. I also need to know the password that I'm going to be using. So otherwise, I'm using Sublime Text Editor, so I don't need password on the time of using this or time of setting up this, but that's not a problem. I'm just going to define my parameters just like I said to you earlier, whereby I have that, defining the first one, which is the host, or you can call it the server. And this time around, my server is 127.0.0.1. So if you don't want to use that, also you can otherwise just come in and use something localhost. You can just use localhost to have that with you. Now I've just duplicated the stuff so that you guys can be on the same move with me. This is going to be a username, uname, or you can just write as username if it's okay with you. And this time around, the username is called root. And then we also have something else called the password or the pass. I can define it as the pass to be the password on our project, whereby in this case around our password don't have password there. Then another thing that we also need to define is called the database name. Okay, the database name we're going to be using in this project, we had not created one here. But if I walk you the guys in this way around, I just click here and I click back down here on my shell. This is it. I open up my Sublime and I just click on shell. I can minimize this all. If I don't want, I can even close it because I don't need it here. Yeah. So just this, that's it. Yeah. So if you check here, this is it. You just make sure you give all the commands parameters that can give you or have access to your databases. Mine is which is not the right procedures. Mysql, give a space minus h localhost, give a space minus u for the root, and give a space minus p. This gives you access to prompt the user to enter the password. Now remember, we say don't type anything inside password because we don't have any. Just press down. So I think you can see if I say show databases, this should give me a chance to list all the databases I have, and in this case around I don't have any database inside our Mysql command or inside our things that we're going to be coming up with. Now you guys, this is also another thing, we just need to come up with a database. So to do that, I'm just going to simply say create. Now this is a command that would pass underneath here to give us a chance to know the database name. Now I'm just going to just do this for this case around, then I show you all the other next table what I'm going to just create for you guys inside there, so then work with you guys step by step to see how all those things can be done underneath there. So this is it. So create database, then give the database name. Let me just give my database name to be YouTube DB. That's it. So that's the stuff we have. If I just put a semicolon YouTube DB after that and I press enter, it's telling us 1 error affected. So if you also go back down here, some of you guys will just go straight to local host /php my admin, php my admin, just like so. You'll definitely discover that this still we really have a database created, and that's called YouTube DB. And underneath there we have nothing inside our database. So that's also another stuff where guys you could come in and maybe do that. So you just copy the database name. If it's okay with you, just come and press it there, just like so. So I have already just pasted mine, and underneath there and just try to click on save. So this is it. These are my parameters for the database connection. And then on the other way around, I'm going to be using OOP. Mysql. I'm going to use OOP technique to do the connection, where I'm just going to say con is equal to one on us new MySQL I, and then I just pass my query, whereby the first one is host. I don't even need to put anything else. I have the uname, and I also have the pass, and then later on I also have the last little stuff is that, which is my connection being done in that just simple way. You guys, if you're using PDO, I think OP should have that. And still they can still use the same parameters if at all you're going to be using PDO. So I don't want to just define DB that here. We could still define it there, but I'm not going to use it this time around. I'm just try to first not confuse you. This is what we have on our database configuration and things like that. Now you can also give a command to check if that's really there by typing if con. If I'm connected, or if that's true, whereby most cases we tend to give this if this true. You get? But I'm not going to do that. It's just same as that. If it is true, echo for us success. Yeah, connection maybe successfully, successful. So remember, if you say connection successful, if that's the case around there, and try to save and I go to the browser, try to refresh here, we shall just get the stuff there. If you click underneath there, we shall get connection being successful. And if you also go back under create, there's nothing to get, but we want that connection to be successful and create table. So I'm just going to name this one as create tables. That's called, I can just give underscore table. This is for creating or create table. Tables or table. So we're going to be using this command for create tables. So what you need to do, this is a database configuration, and you also want to handle something like else. else command, you know, like for instance, maybe a connection failed. So you could also go back down here and give Mysql underscore connection error. You get, or you could just pass an error there. If why has it failed, or what happened to make it fail. So that's done for that case. Because always, if you try to check inside our project here, I've said this should be changed to underscore database table. That's it. Now, if you look up again on our project here, that's what we have. So let's just not waste a lot of time. Go back inside here. The first thing we need to do now is to pass one on us include one on us the database itself. And to do that, I'm just going to simply say include. If you want to use include is also good. If you want to use another things, also fine. You can use require, you can use include, you can use require once. That's the case, you know. Now that's it for now. Now I'm just go walk with you guys around here for now. This is it. What are you going to be creating? You're going to be creating something called a table direct straight away. Now to create a table in MySQL, this is what you have to know. You have to know the parameters, the things, the columns you're going to use, and the variables to present those columns. For instance, we're just going to be creating up a table a table called users. We have their first name, last name, and maybe first name, last name, and their age, if that's the case for now. This is what you have to do. If this is table users, I'm just going to pass my connection. If I'm using OP like we said, and I just need to square that given connection that way. Where here I'll simply say, you know, create for us the database connection, create table, and then I pass that table parameters. Create table, give the table name called maybe users. So that's table name users. I'm going to be having the following underneath that table. So that's our parameters. So remember, this is it. We're going to be creating table users. I can as well open here so that I get a chance to know how my table is going to be. The first one is going to be user ID, which is going to be integer, and I'm going to be saying is 11, and also not null, like so, and I'm also going to say auto underscore increment. Auto increment. You could also add their primary key, but I think primary key I can always give it there down. Remember, this is the table details we're going to be using. User ID, we need to get their maybe username, and maybe password. Just pass that the parameters we're going to be creating up down on our table here. So if that's the case, we also need something called just username, and don't forget this is going to be a Vasha, something of that sort. You get I'm going to use 100. Remember, Vasha moves up to 250, you know. So I think this can also be not null, just like that. So without wasting time, I'm just going to duplicate that for now. It's okay with you guys. And I have their password. I would also hash a password, but for this case, I think no. Password is also not null. I'm just leaving that to be not null for now. I also need to have something called primary key. It's also very good to have a primary key in your project. Always primary key is an ID, then you need to define that ID. This time around, our ID is called u underscore ID. This gives us a chance to have that sorted out in our project. U underscore ID. Now remember, we happen to open up here, and I have to close down here. And after doing so, I have to pass these parameters to complete that, if it's okay with you guys. So there's no sin to have this like that. Or otherwise, you can always come back down and close that stuff in that way. Or if not so, just do it in this way to have your project organized in that way. So you guys, I'm going to give you guys a chance where to download the source codes if you guys may be interested, and maybe get some errors on your project. So don't worry, you guys will have that. Now remember, this is connection, pass that to me. So otherwise, if I'm connected, what do you need to tell me? So I'll simply just need to pass the users. So definitely if the users are there, I just need my project to submit and show me that, you know what, table created successfully. You get it? So if that's the parameters we are taking. So for this test around, I'm going to just try to say echo. I'm not using JavaScript, I'm not using any extension for now. I just want to simply say maybe user table created successfully, something of that sort. So if I go back down here, try to refresh here, I think you can see connection successfully. Which connection successfully comes from this connection. So I don't need that to be echoed for me anymore because I already know we're successfully connected. Yeah. So if you check back here, even also tells us user connection successfully. So even the table being created. So it cannot again say table created twice. And I think you can see users table being there. Having your underscore UID, username, and then password. And I think you can see here we have the following stuffs. This is our database architecture where we have a your underscore UID, first name, last password. Let's actually username and password, and that's the parameters we have been given there. So that's it. So you can as well try to pass this to around here. So that's it. The database being created and table being created. Yeah. So I would say maybe if that's the case, if table really exists, is being created. If the table really exists there, so that implies if show tables persist. So if table is greater than 1, or if that table already exists, then just push me to insert data to a given table. So I'm not going to take a lot of time to confuse you guys. I think I would just do down here because it will not give me an error anymore because the table already exists. So no matter how many times I do that, to not create any table and I'll not get an error. So on the other way around still, I can just now go back down here and try to say, what you're going to be doing at the moment is to insert, details into that table, insert data. But remember, if you were using other stuffs, you definitely need to require something called, or you need to do something called a use a given table database. Like here, this is our database, and this is our table we have just created called users, and this is the result at the end of the day on inside our phpMyAdmin. The same procedure, the same parameters happen to be inside here. Like for instance, if I say use that table we have created. If I just simply say use, something of that sort. User, not user, sorry, it is just use. Sorry for that. Use, and then I say show tables. Definitely this will give me a chance to see a table called users being inside there, and that's the table we are in. Now, without wasting you guys a lot of time, this is the case around here. We would like now at the moment to have one of us inserting the data into our Mysql database. I'll just define something called insert, and this is equal to my connection parameters, and passing that inside there, where I'll simply say, we are inserting data to this Mysql database, and this is how the data is going to be inserted into the Mysql database. I'll simply say insert into our table, which is called users. You get a table called users, and there being that, I'll need to know the values too that I'm going to be inserting into my SQL database. And if insertion is successful, if this insert is success, then definitely I want you to do for me a favor by telling me here or echoing for me something called record, maybe record inserted successfully. You get something of that sort. So this is it. We have something called UID, we have something called username. You get, we have username, we have also something called password. Now underneath that, I'm just going to pass this here down too, so that I can get chance to do all those tabs and have it just pointed for us. inside our PHP, and MySQL. So remember, UID is already catered for. So I can as well just make that to be null. If you don't want to make null, then just give it like that. Leave it blank. So MySQL will know how that thing will be catered for. But I lose nothing if I put it not null. If I put it as null. And then here where we have something called username, you can define a username to give. Like this time around, I can just say OSP Pro. And then where there's password, I want it encrypted. So if you want password encrypted, so this is what you do. You first handle it that way, and then here you need to do something just as this. You can use password, hash password, hash password. Should I do that? Sorry, this hash word. Make password underscore hash, whereby there you pass the string, and then the string which is going to be the password itself this time around, and then password default format, whereby this time around I'm just going to say OSP maybe 123 to be that. So don't forget, I'm using hash password technique. If you're using that, that's good, but I always tend to use something called MD5. So let me just try to test this with us. If it works, then that's great for now. Yeah. If I do that, I think you can see record being inserted on hash password. I think it should be working. Our password is this, hashed. Okay. How about if I refresh the same record? It still inserts the that record into the MySQL database. And I think you can see hash password tends to take that kind of parameters to have our password hashed. If you want to use that technique, it is good. If you don't want to use hash password parameters, you can also just do this into our MySQL query, where we just need to say MD5, and then I need to pass in the what I want, maybe OSP. Or OSP 123, the same stuff, but this time around I'm using MD5 to hash from the password. So if you shake that and try to come back down here, you should find that the password technique is going to be different. This one only takes approximately 24 to something of that sort parameters or characters, but hash password is kind of longer and it's kind of big, much characters contained. So original is 60, and this one here I think should be showing also. I don't know why it's not giving me that, but as it still is just from around 20 something. Yeah. So I hope you guys have understood this technique on how to create a record. So let me just try to learn some few things inside here. This is to insert record, and we have seen how to do that. Let's learn to display record, and we should look into that and we'll see how these things are done. To display record, that's just like trying to fetch record from the MySQL table. So I don't want you to make a mistake when I'm trying to fetch record from the MySQL database. So that's definitely something called read.php, because we are reading now the new record. Don't forget, we're going to include the same parameters inside our PHP command to have all those things sorted. So that's called record, and after read record. So if you go back down here, we have read, and it has nothing inside that. So let's just look onto that technique on how to fetch and read a record from the MySQL database. The first thing always is the DB connection, whereby this time around along our wayside we have the following, which I'll be having something called an include for us DB. Remember, on the same directory, so I don't need to worry about anything. To get first that record that we're going to be picking up from the MySQL database, we need to go on the columns. So which columns are we going to get the records from? We're going to get the records from the following. We may need also to know the ID, we may need to know the username if you want, but ID is not necessary as such. You just need to know your name, and you also need to know the password if you want to give them the password, if that's your case. Even on the password, we could go further and create the recovery password for these guys. so that by the time when someone is submitting the records, the new password goes in and shows also the real password. Now I'm not going to waste a lot of time there, so let me just go straight here. I'm going to just create a query to select. So let me just select the record, whereby this time around here the record is going to be passing that. So I'm not going to use prepare a method. I'm just going to go in straight and execute my command to get the record, whereby this is how you do it. Just select everything from our table. Our table is called users, not so. And I'm not going to give any condition for now. Okay, but you guys can always comment down on my queries or on how I'm doing my stuff. Then I can always explain to you guys how this is done. Then for you guys who are interested in this soft code, the codes, I can definitely give you and get a chance. Now here is where I expect you guys to be knowing some few things. For instance, the loops. We have the for loops, the while loop. Yeah, and I think also they support the while. Yeah, I think that's different. So I'm going to just use while loop here, which I think is so much simpler. And I'm going to simply say where a row. I'm going to extract my thing in format of a row. Our row equals to select, and that select is going to be passing for me fetch for me a sub, whereby that's what I'm going to be doing underneath here. So passing for me that, and I also need to do something called extract from me row. So that's it. Extract from me rows, just like so. And underneath here, now whereby this extract rows gives us chance to deal with information as variables. Okay, so this gives us chance to deal with information as variables, just like so. Then underneath here, what do we need to know? We just need to pass in our variables direct now. As if you have variables. So we have UID. If you want to pass UID, I just need to make a space around there. I also need to pass something called uname. So that's the advantage with that. No matter I'm passing the stuff from the database, I get a chance to do it that way. And then lastly, we have password, if that's the case. And also I want it to be broken. At the end of the day, let the new one go to the new line. It's okay with us. So that's enough for us to have all these things inside and being pulled out. So if someone goes inside here, try to refresh this part of the page, syntax error in line 10, just check that in a minute. Oh, sorry for that. Cannot put that at the end of the code. So just need to do that, and I think you can see we have the first details, the second details, and then this is it. Though it's not always good to echo the password, but I'm just trying to give you a scenario. That implies our create command is done, and we already know how to do that. So underneath, under create here, we can as well also do some query for updating up records. Update record. So for instance, maybe updating queries. So you can just pass down here where we shall simply say maybe update is equal to something called connection query. For us that query the record, where we shall simply say maybe update users, maybe set what? Set username. Set username is equal to maybe David what? Where we are going to use where clause to fetch for us at the same time to update for us that. Where maybe where UID is equal to 1. Remember we have that as OSP Pro. So we not just need to tell us here also maybe if it's successful. I don't need to do that even because I'm doing it at the same time there. So we know where ID equals to 1. Remember this is kind of static technique. We know very well that where ID is equal to 1 we have what? We have OSP Pro. So if I just refresh this query from here like so, I just need to expect my command to turn that to David. And this is what I'm trying to talk about. If you check there just now, I think you can see it has turned out to David. So the good thing with that query there, do not do anything, do not turn it every time to David unless that compute it's executed using another 7 stuff. Maybe this is OSP YouTube, where id is equal to maybe number 2. If that's the case, if I just refresh our query again, need to find that command executed that way, and I think you can see you have it there done. Is it okay? So that's just to execute that query command. Now, the other thing that I can also do inside here is to do something called delete command. Delete a query or delete users. To do the delete users, this is how you're going to handle that. I'll just define delete. And I'll delete connection queries that, so definitely I expect that to be computed for us too. Now remember, this is it. We expect that to be done into our command, just like so. So I'll simply say maybe delete, maybe from users, where UID is equal to 3. That definitely will delete a record. Remember, this specifies when and where to do the update, and this also specifies where to delete from. So where I now equals number 3 should be deleted. So if I refresh here the second time, we should have that record deleted off. And this becomes now useless, because if that ID does not exist, means this record was deleted. So if I give a condition here, simply say maybe if it is that implies if that ID exists, say record deleted successfully, if it is okay on your side. So you can just come in here and say maybe user deleted, maybe successfully, else what? Else maybe user details does not exist. That implies it has been deleted. Yeah. So like for instance, now if I just refresh back in here and I do this, user deleted successfully. Yeah, that's why number 3, user deleted successfully. So that's it for now. So if I would give a condition here, if the query is the number of rows given that query is greater than 1, then do that. Let's say, you know what? No. The record is being deleted. So this is just an else clause for here, which is not applicable. Otherwise, it would be something says if what? If that delete number of rows is greater than 0, you get? Then this command should be inside here. Yes, that's what I expect. So implies indirectly should tell me user details does not exist. Number of rows for that. Check that. Expect that one, number of rows. Trying to get a property of number of rows of an object. Oh, sorry for that. I think you can see the user does not exist. But if I change this one to number 2, like so, you should see what will happen. I refresh here. User now does not exist. So for it to just be, this should not be wasted time to look through. It will just, delete what's there, and definitely that will be off from our command. So members, this is what I'll have to let you know. So we have really reached up to that stage that we have all our stuff deleted, and if you check here, that's what we have. We have only one thing. So I've shown how to update, I've shown how to delete, I've shown how to create, I've shown how to read. And I think you can see you are reading in the browser what is you expect to be the other side. And this is just my little command to show the record to the Mysql database. So you guys, if you find this video interesting, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please share this video to their friends. Let them know that you need to learn this, and let them learn this by sharing to their friends. And then at the end of the day, we should at least make sure we have very many people who are knowing or who are learning, who have learned using our OSP Pro, a platform. Two, I also happen to come up with ospro.com as a website where you guys can be having all these source codes fully downloadable. I'm going to make it downloadable. So all the source codes that I'm making on YouTube here, you guys, you'll get it for free. That's it. I don't want to lie to you. After making a video, I'm just going to upload those software. I'll zip it. I'll not put any password on them. I'll just zip it so that you guys can get it for free. And then for you guys who are happen to maybe interested on other systems too, I'm going to make the documentations of those systems. We have the report for that given systems, and you can download it at just a smaller fee. So you guys are going to have that too into that. So the show is going to be yours. So the ospro.com platform is going to be having most of the stuff. So I just thought of having that way, so you guys can always be updated each time I make a video. Don't forget also to check ospro.com. And if you are from Uganda and you want to learn programming with me, definitely you can come to OSP IT Digital Solutions here in Wandeke, Kampala, Uganda. And then you be in the set to learn with us. Then too, still we are happening to come up with also the online YouTube platform where still you guys can learn from there. So you can just enroll for a course with me. I can always teach you, and then we have very many software still we can use whereby you can be updated with. So thanks for watching. May God bless you. Love you all. Thank you, my friend.